Okay, we are recording. Good afternoon. Welcome to this Facebook Spotlight, I guess, with one of our members. My name is Kate Cherry. I'm the Regional Director for the Athena Network in Bedfordshire and St Albans. And I'm really excited because one of the things we do, as well as being a networking group, is that we like to shout out about our members across social media. It gives more exposure and also helps people who are not necessarily in our meetings understand a bit more about the person, the business, and what they have to offer. And today we're revisiting with a member who's been in one of our groups for now, Carol, correct me if I'm wrong, 3 years?
Since you started?
Yeah.
Yes, you launched, Kate.
So going into the 4th year actually then. And I think about 3 years ago, we sat down and did our very first one of these, I think, which is a Facebook Live interview it was at the time. And to find out a bit more about her business, it's Carol Hanson of Carol Hanson, actually, isn't it, Carol?
That's right. Rebranded last year, Kate.
Perfect. And so what I'm going to do is ask Carol a few questions about her business. It'll be more of a conversation and find out what's new for her. So I'm going to dive right in and then I'll talk a bit about Athena at the end, Carol. So tell us about your business today, what you do, what's changed since we last spoke.
Okay, so I rebranded my business last year because I think I had probably in 2018, I started to wake up to the just generally to sustainability and the issues regarding the planet. So I'm a personal stylist. I inspire women who have a wardrobe full of clothes but nothing to wear, help them to look and feel fabulous every time they get dressed. I've always been someone that has preferred quality over quantity when I'm buying clothes. But back in 2018, as I say, I started doing some research for a blog that I was writing, and it opened my eyes up to the issues around sustainability in the fashion industry. The fashion industry is the second biggest polluting industry after the oil industry in the entire world. And as it opened my eyes up, I thought, hang on a second, I need to start shouting about this. I need to start helping people understand what the issues are, because it seemed to me that there's a crowd of people that understood the issues, but not everybody seemed to understand the issues. So I felt, in a sense, an obligation, a responsibility to educate myself and to help to start educating others. So a long way round is I've then rebranded my business to become the Conscious Wardrobe Stylist. And the main change that has meant is that I am doing more speaking, I'm doing more educating with my clients. I include sustainability and conscious styling when I'm talking to my clients on a one-to-one basis and on my online programs. And also when I'm guesting on podcasts as well and speaking at events. And so, yes, that's kind of been the main change to my business since we first spoke.
I love it. And it's very now, isn't it? There's an element of bandwagon, I think, going on with
huge element.
You know, with the sector I'm in as well. There's a lot more people jumping on, caring about what goes down the drain and caring about what goes to landfill and all of that. And I actually heard today on the news that there is a street in London that's just been re-tarmacked with second-hand tyres, which I think is
brilliant,
because they said it's easier to do. It's much easier to handle. And of course, they haven't used the materials they would normally use for that. So there's so many different industries, but I had no idea that fashion, I hadn't even thought that fashion is the second biggest pollutant. In fact, I'd heard somewhere it was the biggest. And we have this notion that we hear of fast fashion, don't we? So how have you tweaked what you do? I mean, I'm a client of yours, so I know how you operate, and I know that, and we should talk about this in a minute, actually, your minimum wardrobe, maximum style. But I know that you focus not on people associate stylists with buying lots of new stuff.
Yeah,
which the stylists, because they're going to take me shopping, and I'm going to be expected to spend a load of money on top of what I've spent with them. But that's not the case, is it?
No, it's not the case at all. I mean, to be honest, I've used to find taking my clients personal shopping is, it's a huge investment. It just didn't sit right with me. Not only, as you say, it was about the client spending money on clothes as well as spending money on my time, and I would prefer to educate my clients. And the first place where I take my clients shopping is in their own wardrobes.
Love that.
Most of us have got far too many clothes, and there's no point in just throwing clothes out for the sake of it, because with a little bit of creativity you can make so much more of your wardrobe. You know, you may look at something and think, well, it doesn't work for me, but by tweaking around, by playing around creatively, using accessories, which I'm very big on, and just putting outfits together in different ways, very often you can make much better use of your wardrobe and weed out the items that really don't work for you for, you know, lots of different reasons. So that's been the biggest change in terms of my business, but it's also, again, it's about education as well, and then teaching clients how to shop consciously, so becoming more aware of environmental brands that do support the environment, are doing things on a sustainable level, but also being aware of buying secondhand, how to buy secondhand. There is still a little bit of a stigma with some people about buying secondhand and wearing clothes that somebody else has worn. There's also considering swishing as well, which is, of course, clothing swaps. And I'm going to be doing an event later this year where we're putting on a fashion show. But we are also going to be including a swishing event with it as well, so that we're really teaching. The fashion show element will be from pre-loved boutiques, and it will be from charity shops as well, and we may even be able to encourage some sustainable brands in as well. But I really want it to be more about making more use of what you've got rather than buying new. The other thing I teach my clients is also about how to avoid being greenwashed, because you're absolutely right. Your industry, my industry, it's very fashionable and on trend to talk about sustainability and green issues. But there are an awful lot of brands that are, shall we say, once you scratch below the surface,
They're not walking the talk.
it's talk, and it's paying lip service. You know, when you get a big retail chain saying that they're reducing their carbon footprint by turning the lights off in their office, it's not quite the same as going back through their entire supply chain and working with their supply chain to make a much bigger difference.
Oh, and working out where something comes from as well. I've seen, for example, things being made locally, whatever it is, which people love that tag, made local, when actually I'm a local business, even though I work for an international brand, for example, or with an international brand. But what's missing is, where's that traceability back to where something comes from? And was anything or anyone, living or non-living, harmed during the making? It's like on the films, isn't it? Was something harmed during the making of this? Where did it come from?
Precisely. And particularly with fashion, you can say that something is made in the UK, for example, but that doesn't mean that the entire garment is sourced and made in the UK. It means a part of the process, or it may be just that it's finished in the UK. And it could be that the actual elements of it were all sourced from different places. So, you know, we as people, as consumers, lead such busy lives that we really need to slow down and take more notice of what's going on around us, and start asking questions of brands.
And it's the need, isn't it? It's the yes, something might be cheaper, but do you need that much of it? Could you not spend a bit more and get less? So in particular in the wardrobe instance, what you do, which is magic, is help people mix things up. And so tell us about the program, actually, because it's coming up now, isn't it?
It is coming up soon. Yes, absolutely. So I run an online program called Minimum Wardrobe, Maximum Style, that takes you from wardrobe overwhelm to wardrobe nirvana. And I was running it as a 4-week program, but I've now decided this year to extend it and to run it as an 8-week program. So what I do is, in the first stages, I help people to identify who they are, how they want to show up, also, a big part of first week is understanding what your favorite outfit is and what makes it your favorite outfit, so that we start from a position of love, and so that you really understand what it is that lights you up when you put on a piece of clothing or an outfit. And then we go through mindset in terms of letting go. So what might be those roadblocks in terms of stopping you from decluttering? And those can be emotional, they can be all kinds of things. Then we go through the decluttering process, and that's a period, that's one of the areas I'm expanding. So rather than how I ran the course last year, which was kind of expecting people to be able to do a declutter in 1 week, which was trying to keep that momentum going. Not everybody can afford that time. And you know what it's like when you run or you do online programs, and you start falling behind, you kind of, you lose the will to live. And so
or there's that undue stress. You're putting yourself in under undue stress is something you feel you should be doing.
Yes, and it gets to be a should, doesn't it, rather than something that you want to do, and therefore that then impacts the whole mindset. And then the third part of the program is building your minimal wardrobe. So effectively taking what you've got left and playing creatively yourself, and giving you some guidelines as to how to do that, and ideas. And again, I'm going to expand that area too, so that I can just come back with some more support for people and some more inspiration as to what they can be doing as well. And then finally, we wrap up by, in terms of getting rid of clothes responsibly, because there's a whole area around that. We talk about shopping responsibly, and all the elements we've just been talking about in terms of where to shop and how to shop. And also about caring for clothes, so that we can actually help clothes to last longer, so we don't need to keep buying stuff, because it's, you know, again, you lead a busy life, it's all too easy to stuff everything in the wash and put it on at 40, isn't it?
Yeah. Or just you've worn something for a few hours, bing, in the wash, and actually you're not a sweaty teenager, so yeah. Unless you're at the gym, obviously, and then it's a different.
Well, yeah, of course, and there are certain things that obviously you will only wear once and then stick it in the wash, but there's an awful lot of things. And I used to be like this. I think I've cut my washing down by about half in the last year, because I've started to be much more considered about what I need to wash. You know, a pair of skinny jeans does not need to go in the wash after every time you've worn them.
Definitely not.
And in fact, it actually ruins them. Keep doing that, because it breaks down the fabric,
which then goes down
all of that side of it. We talk about the creative side as well, about how you can repurpose clothes, and give you some ideas as to how you can do that if you're creative, or how to find someone to help you if you're not particularly creative, or you know, your sewing skills are pretty limited. So all things like that. And then so that's the complete program, and people have got access to the materials for forever, because it's all on a platform. They've got a login and they can go in and access it.
Brilliant.
So
that's how does someone find out more and get in touch?
Okay, well, we can put the link in the underneath, but you can also go to my website, where you can, which is carolahanson.com, where if you look at the online courses, you'll see that there's a link through to be able to sign up there. And we are starting again. I'm actually launching it this month, because it's February, of course, is the month of love, and I want everybody to fall in love with their wardrobes again, and with the clothes that they wear. So we're actually I'm launching, doors are opening on the 17th of February, and then we'll start in early March.
Fantastic. Okay. I've completely skipped over all the other questions, but quickly, let's
start talking about Athena, shall we?
No, it's fine. Just really quickly though, what do you love about you? Because you've just renewed for the 4th year, which is wonderful, and that's what, you know, my regions are relatively young. We have regions that are 15 years old, and you've got people who've been in those groups for 14, 15 years. So what do you get out of Athena?
What I get out of Athena is a lot of support, and particularly in our group and the way that you run the groups, Kate, there is a lot of support for everyone within the room. New people are made to feel really welcome, and there's a lot of interaction between people who have been a member for several years. So it's about support more than anything, and just that it attracts a really nice group of people to come in and meet up once a month, and obviously to continue those conversations outside the room. You know, I love networking. I for my styling business, my one-to-one business, I think I get about 80 to 85% of my business comes through networking, because it's about building that know, like, trust factor, and it's one of the best ways of doing it. You know, and you don't walk into a networking group and expect to come out with anything in that first time that you walk in, or maybe even that first year. It's about making that investment in a medium to longer term basis.
Absolutely. And I find when you've got other people around the table shouting about how awesome you are, you would have to do all that work all over again to get that somewhere else, wouldn't you? It's brilliant. And you know that there's a natural movement in groups. It's not the same people for 4 years. There will be movement. You meet new people, don't you? And sometimes it's right that some people move on, and so that's good, because that gives an opportunity for new people to come, because in your group in particular we're practically full. So wonderful. And so what are you excited about for the future? What's next?
Well, what's next for me is that I do want to get myself out there more in terms of public speaking, and as I say, I'm doing a lot of podcast interviews at the moment. I am considering possibly next year setting up my own podcast, but I've got to make sure that it's actually not going to be a vanity project, that it's going to have a business purpose to it as well, if I'm going to invest the time and energy in doing that. So yeah, things are looking good, and to increase my presence online, so I'm building up more and more people for my online courses as well.
I love it. I love it. Thank you for giving me your time today.
No.
Just to wrap up, if you want to hear more amazing stories like this and get to know more amazing women like this, then definitely come and visit one of our groups if you're able to, if your profession is available. We are about support, connection and training, and you get all of those elements in our meetings. Whichever one you think you need straight away, it actually ends up that you probably benefit from all three things. And so we run groups currently in Boston, Woburn, Bedford and Luton, and we're launching in St Albans and Redbourne next month. So do contact me at kate.cherry@theathenanetwork.com. There'll be a link above as well if you want to learn more, and we will put Carol's details in there as well. I highly recommend getting onto her course because it's worth its weight in gold, really. I love what you said about love. Actually, in the first couple of sentences when you described it, I wanted to bounce around and go, yes, that's exactly it. It starts by the positive, because so often you think about, there's that scarcity mindset, but I don't want to let go of things. You know, you're not thinking about letting go of things all the way through. It's a process of not elimination, it's the other way around. So it's a process of what you love. And then, okay, you love that, but you wear it. And I think that's such a great psychology, because we so often tend to think of the negative and the lack and the scarcity. And actually this way we're looking at the positive and loving what you do have. And also, like everything in life, we tend to hold on to certain things for emotional reasons. And any house declutterer will say the same thing, is sometimes we hold on to things because we think we should. But sometimes they might, and I'm sure you go into that one-to-one with customers, you must see it all the time, they must be certain, sometimes there can be negative emotions linked to why we hold on to something and don't move forward. But wow, I love it. I could talk for hours, but I won't.
Yeah, we could.
People to watch this. Okay, fabulous. I'm gonna say goodbye. Thank you, Carol, for your time.
Thank you, Kate. It's been great talking to you.
And have a great weekend, everyone.